All right, all right, all right. Here we go. Another man. Oh man, things have been cooking in the counselors corner. I'm your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the controversial counselor. Joining me is my co-host, the big bad wolf, Herb Lewis.
I'm going to give a moment of silence for my boy who is no longer with me. The couch climbing bandit has been euthanized.
All right. Last week we had an amazing show with special guest dating and relation coach Paige Hines Cheatham. Please go back and watch the replay on the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. Also, there are numerous reels and shorts circulating throughout social media based on last week's broadcast. I don't have an actual topic plan for tonight, so guess what? We will have an open talk conversation tonight. Bring any questions or concerns you have for us or something going on in your life and society, period. Remember, people to like and share our video. Tell a friend, family member, or coworker to subscribe to the YouTube channel The Controversial Counselor. Right now, I think we're sitting at 846 subs, on which we getting there. Remember, I said my next goal was 850, so we reaching that. Then we'll be ready to hit the 900 mark. So I believe in a slow process. They always say the process is greater than the end result. So just trying to grind through that. So 4 away from the next goal of 850. Let's go and let's get it. So here we are tonight, Monday, March 4th. We have somebody in the studio. Herb was good. I know you gave a moment of silence for your little man.
Yeah.
Unfortunate situation.
He was a big boy, 13 pounds. So, uh, hey, dang, man, what's going on? He is here.
What's going on, brother?
You got him muted. He's got himself muted.
I think he got himself muted.
Yeah, man. I gotta, give a special shout out to Anita. She was there with me. It's a process, man. It's the second time I've had to do it in less than a year, and I tell you what, it doesn't get any easier. Having to literally, what's going on, Dane? Having to
What's up, John?
take the life of
What's going on, brother?
a living being, man. It wasn't something that I relish, but it needed to be done. So he will no longer be running up and down the couch. I will no longer be showing him. So that's the avatar. But that's about it, man. I'm here.
All right. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm just grateful to be here, my brothers.
We appreciative to have you, man. We gonna get into the thing you dropped in the council's corner probably shortly because we open mic night. So, um, what up, Ernie? We gonna
What's going on, Black?
this particular show can go just a number of ways. I'll bring. I don't know if you have it with you, so I'll go back and dig it up. That way we can talk about it.
Cool. How you guys doing this day?
All right. For Monday, was just made it back in from the road from my hometown, Niagara Falls. So I'm kind of just getting had to kind of rush into things, but I wanted to have a broadcast tonight to kind of keep the momentum going.
Well, again, gentlemen, I appreciate you guys for inviting me in.
All right, well, no problem. Long overdue. Well, Herb, while you digging that up, I don't want no dead air time. And
Yeah, it
and
is.
while I was writing, I was reading a
I got it.
comment,
Yeah, go ahead.
a comment from a young lady, Christina, and I had shared it to the counselor's corner, and she was pretty much saying that, kind of like, what's up with these men writing whole kind of theses or what's the thing when you I'm drawing a blank when you going
Dissertation.
for your doctorate dissertation,
Dissertation.
and she was like, yeah, and she was like, pretty much men need to need to heal. Then she made reference to men being ma'ams, like get into get your feelings together, ma'am. And I just thought like that's starting to be a common theme that they putting that out there as if a lot of men are, I call them like drama kings. So I had some kind of talking points to go with that, but I'm going to bring that back up later. I just want to kind of table that for now, let everybody know that that's coming. So what's the thing? I'm going to honor a man that's on here, and Herb, you said he had posted something. So what was that about?
Well, I thought it was an excellent post, and it's titled, "Where are the good wives at?" Single and childless men that are ready to start a family gripe about the lack of good wives available nowadays. Women today aren't wifey material. They lie about everything, big and small. They have unrealistic expectations, demands, requests, and requirements. There's a 50-50 chance she has a child by another man that we won't go into to be responsible for. A package deal. She can't communicate openly. Everything is always about her. Her attitude sucks. She has bad manners, and on and on. I totally get it. Men are usually raised to believe as long as they have a job, are nice to women, and buy her nice things, she will be a good wife. All they have to do is lead, protect, and provide, and all will be good because that's all she wants. I totally understand the feeling of betrayal a man feels once he realized everything he was raised to believe about women was basically a lie, especially since nobody actually explained what those words truly meant from an execution perspective. And most importantly, they failed to tell men and women have agendas of their own and don't like you have to take a man's agenda into consideration just because they believe the man likes her. She likes a man like that too, and he ain't you. But that doesn't have to be the end of the story. There are single and childless men who are finding single and childless women to start families with. If those values and views are in alignment, here's where here's what it appears that men are doing to connect with those women. One, they know their own values and views are in relation to the 9 areas of people activity. They are black and white. There is no gray area. Things don't depend. That takes time to think those things through. This clarity allows them to talk to women in a way that allows them to see if her values and views are in alignment with his. Two, they do not entertain a woman whose values and views are not in alignment with theirs up front. They use the phone to vet, not date. They don't go on a first date until they know at least from the same chapter. I'm sorry, at least they're reading from the same chapter as the woman they're talking to. The first date is simply for them to get on the same page of the chapter they are reading from. Three, once there is alignment, they plan out major milestones they want to mutually accomplish in life. They formalize their relationships as they see fit and go on living their lives accordingly to the terms they mutually agreed on, i.e., we'll maintain a nuclear household for our family. Interference from people outside of the relationship is interference from people outside the relationship to get in between them in their mutually agreed terms. Having values and views in alignment with their mate is how single and childless men connect with single and childless women to start families of their own. Single and childless men now have a choice. They can keep griping about the lack of good wives and not getting the outcomes they want. They can surrender to their fetish desires and take any woman that looks great, nice facial features, and body shape, mostly artificial nowadays, but treats them worse than shit in the name of men lead, protect, and provide according to the woman's terms and not the terms they mutually agreed upon. He would be a team player bringing in a hot dog who doesn't pass the ball that complains about losing. Or they can talk to women until they find the one whose values and views are in alignment with theirs and maintain the discipline required to not follow his fleshly desires to get the best of him. then they can move forward and start their families without wasting time and resources dating. Choose wisely. And I thought it was a lot of excellent points because a lot of people they bang on the red pill and red pill content creators and the likes. And what I believe you did, and correct me if I'm wrong, was you took segments of what the red pill talks about with female nature, and you said, look, this is what it is. You got to stop being led by your dick, vet chicks properly, find the one that you want, and go ahead and move on and do what it is that you talked about and plan. Can you pick up from there?
I mean, that's pretty much it. Yeah. I mean, you summed it up perfectly. Yeah,
Hold on,
you
I got a
summed it up
question.
perfectly.
Yeah.
So I know one of the points you said, like the first date, is to try to line things up. Are we really lining things up on the first date, or we just had a dating and relationship coach on last week, which was a good show, different perspectives. Wouldn't you think the first date would be at least trying to have some damn fun to see if you can get to the second date, or is that about lining it up during the first date?
It will depend on those two individuals' intentions. I mean, we kind of make the mistake of assuming that what we are trying to accomplish on the first date, in your case, fun, is what individuals, and let's just say in this case, are trying to accomplish. Um, so again, it just always goes back to what are you trying to do? What are you trying to achieve in life? Um, and again, if your outcome is obviously just to have fun, then by all means, you're gonna have some fun. But if you're trying to have fun with a person who is trying to start a family, and then you guys are not on the same page, it's not going to work because you guys have two different you guys are devoted to two different things. And like one of you is devoted to, as you just said, like let's just have fun and fill things out and just see where it goes. Whereas the other party, male or female, is well, I'm ready to have a family, bro. I'm ready to move forward now. So if you aren't ready to do that, fine. But I at least want to know that that's the direction that you're headed in, and then we can go have some fun. But to just not have that at least discussion, at least make sure we're on the same page, and that's where a lot of people seem to be going wrong at, because they are obviously complaining about the poor outcomes that they are getting. We see it every day. Complaints about the poor outcomes. I'm not getting this. I'm not getting that. I'm not getting that. I'm not getting this. So it's like, okay, well, at some point, if we as men are supposed to be the leaders, then we're gonna have to lead, and part of that leadership is the sacrifice of I like you said, sometimes you're gonna have to say no. You're gonna have to, because if you can't come, because like the OGs, and my OGs, I mean my elders. I got a lot of 80s, 70-year-old men in my family, so they, I talk to those guys all the time, and one of the things they always say is just like, at some point, you got to grow up. At some point, you got to get intentional. At some point, you can't keep chasing the skirts. You're gonna have to figure it out one day, young man. So that is what these guys who have been married for 40, 50 years, like those are the types of individuals that I speak to when it comes to these topics. And it's just like one of the things I always notice from the men and the women is just this level of objectivity about life, to where it's just like, yeah, like I met him, I knew what I wanted to do, and we was on the same page, so we moved forward and had some fun. But they never talk, like the older women, they never talk about how, like, oh yeah, I was just casually having fun with this guy, seeing where it goes, and then oh, we had a baby, so we just decided to get, like, it was just no, we got married. We got married, like, and
And
then we had fun.
I think when I say that, I mean, like, I think in our age group, a lot of people might have been through things. So when they go into something, yeah, you could have all that intentional stuff in the back of your mind, but I also want to know is like, damn, for me, want to like a lighter tone in the situation. Like, I know what I want, but damn, am I capable of laughing and having fun with this person? Did I have a good time, or was it all just straight up like, I want a family. This is what I want, and they didn't make the cut, and all of a sudden, damn, it's a done deal. I just think, I think when sometimes you got to make this first couple days like non-threatening to me. That's just my take.
I'm just going off what the OGs that's been married for 30 plus years have shared. So but again, it's like we can't keep complaining about the outcomes of wanting these long lasting relationships, but the very people who have them are telling us what it is, and then we keep telling us like, no, well, I just want to do this. I think things have changed, and it's just like, okay, well, if that's how you go play the game, then hey, you play stupid games, you might get a stupid prize or you might not, but hey, you rolling the dice, so just accept that risk that you're
And that's
rolling the
what you were
dice.
talking about with the whole child support thing. That's what I wanted you to clarify with the whole child support thing. It was like, because there's a lot of men out here who get in multiple marriages and they have multiple children and they get caught up in the child support nonsense. I call it nonsense because it's like I read and you wrote. You gotta vet these females that you're dealing with seriously, because it only take one night and you caught up in the rat race, and if she's not aligned with you, you done. She
Done.
got you on the hook for whatever it is, and you can't do anything about it. You caught up in the system. The system is a dry and its own tumble, and you just boom, 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 boom. You caught up, and you can't do anything. There was a post that Blair, shout out to Blair, he posted that a man and a woman were married. Her father left her $500,000 inheritance. She gave him $50,000 to do it as he want. He opened a lawn care business. Unfortunately, business tailed off, and he got a summons that if he either paid the $10,000 in arrears or he go to jail. He ended up going to jail because he didn't have the money. Now he was displeased with his wife for not. She bailed him out. She bailed him out later, but he was displeased with his wife for not doing something sooner. And a lot of people pointed out, and they should have, that knowing what he knew about his situation,
Yeah.
he should have took that 50 grand, made that payment, kept his job during the week, and opened up a side business for the weekend. That's what smart men do that I'm aware of and that I roll with. But we encounter these like this because people won't they refuse to sit down and have these heart-to-heart conversations. And I'm not knocking you, Dave. I'm always on your squad because they want to have fun, and they don't realize that fun end up getting them 18 to 25 years.
You get caught up, bro. I mean,
See
I'm pretty sure we've all been there. You're having fun,
see
you this, and then before you look up, it's just like, God damn, like,
see this is where the confusion lies, because oftentimes you hear guys say, "Yo, I don't want to hear on the first conversation talking about marriage and all of that stuff." So y'all coming from a different angle. I appreciate that too. But what is it going to be? It sounds like it's just a bunch of confusion in this society.
I
Even
agree.
OGs had different circumstances as well, because back in them days, some of them women were real. They were loose and they were having kids 14 and 15. So what else you gonna do but marry them or whatever the case is? But now people have different options, and of course we know that some women, they may have been schooled, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago. Nah, don't get married, don't such and such. You can get that, you can get assistance to help you out, whatever, if that's not the person for you. So we're in a confused state to me. I think this is what everything has led to. OGs back in the day, social media, and all, like, we get a bunch of different mixed messages. Unless we have some consistent messages, and I guess consistency is only going to be who you deal with on a regular basis that comes and kind of get in your ear about the same message. But seem like we're all over the place. We got some good comments going on here if y'all want to address those.
Yeah, Brian drops a gem. He says dating has morphed into a premarital relationship, But the word dating is rooted from the word data, information. It's really about collecting information to make the educated, intelligent decision to expose compatibility or not. And and I know I got to get this book out, but that's at the crux of what I talk about when I say the 100 questions. And I asked this question before.
Hold on,
What
hold on,
is
hold
the
on, hold on.
one
Not to cut your
question?
wisdom off.
Go ahead.
Not to cut your wisdom off. Did you say the 100 questions?
Yeah, I'm working on a book called 100 Questions, and right now I have close to 400 questions, so it's actually morphed into that, and they cover all manner of things from religion to contraception to where you stand politically, and these are the type of things that people are uncomfortable with, and I believe in going out on a dating excursion and having fun.
Yeah.
But part of that fun is what Brian said. You got to gather some information in there to see if you want to deal with this person long term, which is what you pointed out in the soliloquy. But people don't want to do that because, like you said, they see a chick that's got a nice round behind. She got those, pardon the expression, DSLs, and they just like, oh man, yo, I gotta get this chick in the bed, and they ain't thinking about nothing else. They thinking about smash and dash if they stay around for a little while, and she might be thinking, he cute. I might be able to have some cute babies with him. I'm not worried about marriage because that's what this current iteration of relationship cycles that we're in. So marriage isn't being stressed. Marriage is only being stressed for the people who are earning a certain amount of money, and usually that money combined for a family is about $150,000 and up. They're focused on generational wealth, which is only about 25% of the U.S. populace. So you have the other 75 that is out here living a Sodom and Gomorrah lifestyle. They don't care. Next generation, it's YOLO. You only live once. I'm going out and get my man. I don't care about nothing else until that tax man start knocking at the door, the CPS man start knocking at the door, and all of a sudden, no, man, the system got me jammed up. Well, the system didn't make you sleep with that chick. Your own lack of scruples, morals, and physical discipline did. Because I tell people, I've been through my fair share of pregnancy scares. So I'm not going to tell a young man, don't go out here and have sex with a female that you're physically attracted to. But what I am going to tell him is this:
Be responsible.
Not only be responsible, that's number two. Number two is being responsible. Number one is being accountable.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you,
100%.
as a man, be accountable for where you put your dick.
Yes.
If you put your dick in a vice and see tighten the vice, don't complain about your goddamn dick. Because you put it in the vice and you gave that chick carte blanche and tighten it. Now she got you caught up. But if you vet this chick, you ask this chick, straight up, what would happen if you got pregnant? You're gonna see a whole different side of that chick. She ain't gonna be able to mask it. She's gonna say, why the hell would you ask me that question? Because it's possible. I'm on birth control. That's got nothing to do with the answer. What happens if you get pregnant? And they will tell you, I'm a straight shooter when it comes to those type of things. Because we had where was the place out in Buffalo we went to where I asked the abortion question?
Yeah, what is it called? I can't even pronounce the name. Some French type of name, whatever. But Solar,
Okay,
it was Solar. It's people's spot.
Yeah. So we were there, and Dave and I would be in an interview, and they asked me a question that I would ask a woman on a date. And I asked, how many abortions had you have? And they were taken aback. They said, you can't ask that question. I said, why not? Because you can't. So there are no written rules as to what I can ask and what I cannot ask. And I said, it's those type of questions that you ask a female that will put her on notice. So either she's going to
but
be
it was interesting. It was interesting that then probably after you had left that it was a couple people that was still talking about that, and a couple people was like, I don't see nothing wrong with the question. We ask men anything we want to answer, so either you had a bunch or you didn't. So if you're offended by it, that means you got to look at yourself, which is true.
Bingo.
And that's why I don't understand when people get triggered by certain posts. If that shit don't have nothing to do with you, why you upset? why you mad? If it don't have nothing to do with me and they say something about men, I laugh at it, tickle at it, and keep it moving. But I don't know. I think sometimes in certain situations, certain people just want to be mad at shit or bring, oh, this got something to do. Just wanted a reason to be connected to whatever the situation is. You just add that extra stress onto yourself. And you can say it's only social media, but in the same breath, you posting your whole life, day to day, what you do, whatever. So evidently, it's more value than a lot of you think. And we always talk about that, posting children, posting this, posting that, whatever. It ain't just social media. It's everything to some of y'all.
And the women, and understandably so, because it comes across as attacking the women. And like David said, if you're comfortable with the decisions you made in life, pardon me, you're going to be able to answer that question. Now, it might cause you some intrepidation, and I understand. And women pointed out, they said, well, we can't ask men that question. I said, well, why can't you?
Right. Right.
Well, here's the flip side. They can ask men that question, but they have to phrase it differently. And this is where the critical thinking woman comes in. And this is how you know you have a critical thinking woman on your hands. If she answers the question, then that man, if she fires back, you have to be honest with yourself and answer the question. And women, I'm going to give you some game, free game. If you answer the question honest and earnestly, you reply, how many abortions have women had for you? That's the counter. That's the follow-up to the question. Not a counter, but the follow-up to the question. That's a free game for you. So you can't ever say that Herb didn't drop some dime for you. That's free.
No, that's excellent.
Ain't nobody else gonna tell you that. I'm dropping it for you. I can sit here. I can sit here in all honesty and say I have had one woman have one abortion for me. I can say without blinking, without flinching, because I'm aware of the decisions I made. And like I said, number one is you have to be accountable. I was accountable to her when she brought me the situation. And these are the things we talked about on this platform. That's not the first time I've said that. So, fellas, if you're out there and you playing them games with the third rail, just understand. Be ready for everything that comes with it, comes behind it, for as long as it comes. And if you think you got a female that is not going to do right by you, or you're not going to do right by each other, let her go. Let go. You know, and honestly, I'm blessed. I will say that much. I'm blessed because of where I live. And even though Niagara Falls is not a big city, I sit on the border of another country. So I have a pick of different women who come from multiple cultures. I dated just as many women in Canada, Niagara Falls, Ontario, all the way up into Toronto, as I have from Niagara Falls, New York, and parts south. So, fellas, fellas, don't be wedded to your geographical location. You're on these dating apps. Get you a crew together. Go book a weekend somewhere. Matter of fact, I'll tell you this. My high school boy, shout out to James George, he's going out to Las Vegas. Get you a crew of trusted men. Go spend about 4 or 5 days in Las Vegas with the intent of just having fun. You find a female out there that you think she looks good, she's kosher, establish a rapport with her. Don't even, I always tell people, especially men, take sex off the table.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even make it a priority. Don't even make a conversation rooted around it. And you'll see what kind of female you have. Ask her about her childhood, her relationship with the father. Develop your own 100 questions, if you will. And I promise I'll get that book out there. Develop your own slate of questions. And in that slate of questions, don't be serious. You know, develop your inner Chris Rock. Develop your inner Martin Lawrence. Learn how to be fun. You know, you might want to ask, okay, well, so let's say we get hot and heavy, you know, and I'll break out the condom and you find out that I'm too small. Are we still gonna have sex? Now, you're making yourself look inadequate. You're giving her the option of whether or not to turn you down. you're gonna see if she really likes you for you or she likes you for what you can do. Self-deprecating humor is always a way to lighten the mood around people you don't know. Because now the focus isn't on them, it's on you. And I always tell people I work with the public. So I crack jokes at inopportune times just because it breaks the ice and it opens up everything. So you have to develop your dating skills. And I don't care who you are. And shout out to Ron Wills. This is something that he used to say. If you have a problem meeting people, just go up and say hi to 10 random women. No conversation necessary. And then just move on from there and build up. We got a lot of fellas, a lot of younger fellas. And by younger, I'm going to say anybody under the age of 35. They don't have the skill set to be able to sit back and converse with a woman and just let that be. There
Mhm.
always has to be an agenda with a lot of men who are talking to women. I
You
can't tell you how many times I've been up to nightclubs where I've just spoke to females and my boy's like, "Yo, man, she fine. Who is she?" I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I just started talking to her. I don't know her name. I don't know where she's from. I just a casual conversation. Go to sporting events. Y'all love basketball. Y'all love football. I can't tell you how many times women are at these
hold on.
events.
Let me.
Go ahead.
You know why some of these younger generation don't know how to do it? Because they all fucking look alike. They all wear the same fucking hairstyle. They all wear the same damn clothes. Nobody's willing to step out the box and do something different. Whatever the case is. Case in point, I went to my man's shout out to Big Rara stopped out at his party when I was in the falls, and some guy random guy came up to me. He's like, "What's up, bro?" And then I didn't know who he was. I didn't know half of the people in there. I'm like, "Yeah, this shit passed my time. Whatever. I don't know none of these people." And but he was like, "Yo, man, what's up with that hat?" Not this hat, but another hat, like Apple jacket.
Yeah.
He said, "Yo, that shit tight." He was like, man, that's the type of shit I'm looking for, but I can't find that. He said, because all these motherfuckers look alike, and then when you wear something different, they looking at you all crazy and all that stuff. I said, that's the only way I like it, whatever, to do
Yeah.
something different. I'm not about to be twins for everybody in a damn club. Uh, I think that's the problem. I even tell my middle school kids that. Like I asked one of my female eighth graders, I said, name the top three best dressed boys in the eighth grade that got swag or whatever. She was struggling with it. Like I don't know. I said, you know why? I wanted to cuss and say, I wanted to say, because they all fucking look alike. They all wear the same shit. When you see somebody to step out in something different, whether they preppy or whatever the case is, you notice that. And as a female or a male, you look forward to, like, I wonder what they gonna have on the day. Damn, they always smell good, or they always dress nice. Like, man, they be matching head to toe, or like, I love they crazy style or something. We don't have that. Everybody twins. And I think
Mhm.
that's the
Yeah.
issue. We got some good comments going on too if y'all want to attack that, but I just wanted to throw that in. Everybody want to
I'll
be
throw another one
twins.
in, Dave. I thought
Go ahead.
another issue that I've noticed is just communication wise. Just you gotta remember, like most of these kids, this is all they do all day now. So like they can't have a like how we're just having a conversation right now. They can't do that. They can't use their words to articulate how they feel, express concepts, thoughts, think things through. Because again, everything has just been this, like everything is an app, everything's think about it. When we was coming up, you know what I'm saying? We at least went outside. I remember being locked outside. Like you can't come inside. Like literally, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. The adults have locked the door, and you guys can't come back into the street. And I was like, literally thinking about it, like, damn, how did we survive, bro? Because they wouldn't giving us no sandwiches, they wouldn't giving us no water, but it was just like water hoses. You go to your friend's house, like they might
Yep.
get some fiddles there. But it was like as a kid, you had to survive. You had to be communicative. You had to talk to up to adults. Case in point, like when we was coming up, you had to call a girl's phone. I mean, if you wanted to talk to a girl, you had to call. You had to talk to the mom or her dad, and depending
Yep.
upon how you perform with them, she was available or not. Like period. Like and then you can hear it right there. Like I don't like the way he said hello. Click. Oh, Mr. Hawk.
Yeah,
Mr. Hawk, my apologies, Mr. Hawk.
but
How are
but
you doing today, sir? Like, man, please speak to your daughter. Like, that's a lot better, young man.
yeah,
Like make sure you come correct every time. Like, So it's
Yeah.
just like a communication gap nowadays. Because I talk to my nephews and my little cousins, and they don't even. Because I asked them, I was just like, well, like, how do y'all talk to girls? Like, oh, we just Snapchat. I was like, so have you ever talked to her parent, her dad? No. You ever talked to her mom? No. Damn, that's crazy.
But uh, just think about, you onto something when you were saying about being locked out, can't come in unless it was time to eat. Just think about back in our days. We ventured off in uncharted territories, like
Oh
different
yeah,
neighborhoods, just right riding. And then you may see girls and stuff, and at a different park you ain't never been. And all of a sudden you got conversation going, and they want you to come back. Like when y'all
yeah,
coming back over here or whatever. Now you got 3 or 4 girls hanging out, and you're like, yo, I was just over here, me and him, and she had 2 other friends. We supposed to we rolling back over there. Then you get 2 of your more boys like, all right, let's go. Let's go
yeah,
over there. And then you meet
yeah.
in different people and all that stuff. But you got to venture off. This I kind of it kind of breaks my heart the way things have went with this generation that we got going on. They will never be able to have what I always call survival skills just out there, whatever, because of the world that we live in, and it's sad, and we wonder why violence and all of that stuff is whatever, and having a difficult time with conflict resolution and mental health, whatever, because and Herb done heard me say before, until they change the school, 50% academics, 50% social, we will always struggle and have a problem. We will
Yes.
always have a problem. You can't say, oh, we need to do something about mental health, but they're in school and you're like, oh, grades this, grades that, grades this, grade. Some people don't give a damn about grades. They come to school to eat. They come to school to get away from a toxic situation. But while they're there, they're like, shit, I ain't trying to do shit but socialize. I'm accepted here. I got friends here. When I go home, dad and mom always fighting and shit. They on drugs, whatever. They ain't shit in the refrigerator.
Hmm.
That's the shit. Until you make that switch, we will continue getting what we get. I don't give a damn how many grants you get, how many people you come into school. Until that changes, this is what it's going to be like.
And to add
That's
to that,
that.
Dave, we have a lot of malls that are closing, and people are always talking about what do we do with all this real estate. And to what you are saying, there's a lot of kids who have unstable home environments. And when I ran for school board, I've always said that the 3 spheres of influence on a kid's life is home, school, and the community. The money's there. So if we want to take these kids out of toxic situations and put them in an environment where what is being taught in schools is being reinforced outside of the classroom, where they can go and meet other students from other cities or whatever cases, a mall is the perfect location,
Yeah.
or a former mall that's been transformed, because you can teach the boys or the girls, if they want to learn how to do remediation for a building, construction, deconstruction, plumbing, electrical, HVAC. You got all of that in one location. We know
Hmm.
most of these places are accessible by car, so that's not an issue. If you need to develop a bus system or whatever the case is, you can do that. You can teach these kids how to get CDLs, because believe it or not, even though the trucking industry might be on a downswing, there are certain, and I'm not going to name them here, there are certain jobs that if you have a CDL, you can start out making $50,000-$60,000 a year. And I've spoken to some people. Like I said, I'm not going to mention the industry, but there are some. And I asked him, I said, how do you get into that? He said, well, first of all you need is a CDL, and you can get into the union in 4 or 5 years and you set. I said, that's it? He said, yeah. He said, a lot of people know. I said, count me in. I did not know. So like Dane said, seek out older people who are going to give you pertinent information. We're not saying you can't have fun. You're young. So yes, have fun, but ultimately realize that every day you on this planet is a day closer to where you should be in terms of wanting to set goals for yourself. I don't care whether you want to be a passport bro, whether you want to be a gigolo, whether if that's your goal, set yourself up to where you can be financially free from having to deal with all this nonsense. because we've said this on this platform before.
And,
Go ahead, Dave.
No, I was just gonna say
and I
to
want to
your
piggyback.
point, like, yeah, you got to stand on your square, bro. Like, whatever,
Yeah.
because that's my thing with life. Like, I don't care what you do, but just stand on your square. Like, stand
Mhm.
firmly on your square. Like, period. No matter what it is, just stand on that bad boy.
Go ahead, David. You
And,
gonna say?
and one of the things I want to piggyback on, and remember, I just said 50% academics, 50% social. Some people get caught up. "Oh, my kid got all 90s, straight A's, and all that stuff. Then they go off to college, and you got other people with straight A's and all that stuff. But the difference that make them succeed is their social skills, that they've been
Yep.
part of stuff, they've been doing things, so they learn how to cope and deal with conflict. Just because you put your kid in a private school or whatever the case is, and they're a damn mute, when they get to college, to me, the biggest thing about college is survival. It was survival skills,
Yeah,
like learning how, like, damn, I'm not
facts.
doing well academically, but I gotta find a way to navigate, talk to this professor, and bring out my charisma so that professor can say, you know what, I'm gonna give you opportunity. I'm gonna give you a chance to get extra credit or whatever the case is, or the fact that, damn, I ain't got nothing on my meal plan. I'm fucking hungry as hell. I ain't
Right?
got no
No,
money. Let me go over to
super
this girl's
facts, bro.
dorm. I know who got noodles and spaghettios and different shit like that.
Yeah,
A
buddy.
hot plate or whatever the
You got to
case
keep
is.
Shorty in the C
You,
store on deck.
yeah, you got to be
Yeah,
able to do that.
I just want to shout
Be-
out to the Buffalo State squad. They're having a reunion of graduating classes. I think from 2000. I'm sorry, from 1998. I think it was. Don't quote me on that. 19. I know it's 19 mid 19 like 1998. I think to like 2000 something. No, 1994 to like 1998 or something like that. And they were talking about, how ramen noodles was a staple back then, and we were scripting together, and we threw an out of op, which is the Buffalo State form of the food card that you had. You had to rely on some shorties, and this is why I always talk about having somebody of the opposite gender that you've known for that period of time, 30 years, I would say, that's on your squad, because you ain't got to expect nothing from them. They could be there or vice versa. And there's always somebody to lean on. I mentioned, the friend that was there with me when I put my animal down. I can lean on her, man, because it's tough. And sometimes you have to call on powers and resources that are greater than you. It may not be for a long time. It might be for a short time, but this is where that skill set comes in that Dave was talking about, and that personality. And I know, Vicky, it is easier said than done, which is why you start out as a kid, because you're a little more resilient. So you bounce back from things a little easier than you do when an adult. See, we have all these adults that are trying to do things that they should have been doing when they were 14, 15, and 16. Now they're trying to do
Exactly.
it at 36, 37, and 38. And they're
Yep.
not having success. And they're just saying, you know what, man, F this. I ain't doing this no more. I ain't got to do this. And then they realize they find themselves further behind the eight ball than they ever been. They don't go out, no social circle. Like Dane said, they doing this. And you got no social circle, no development skills, no nothing.
Hmm.
So get out. Kevin Samuels used to say, life is lived out there. Go out there and live life. But you got too many people that are cloistered in, and their parents didn't lock the door enough, and they didn't have to drink enough water from the water hose or go to their friend's house to get something to eat. You got to make things happen. And it's like, let me read
Gotcha.
what Brian says about the ego. Let me read what Brian says about the ego and mating process. He said, consider the ego mating method. When the male eagle pursues the female, she will drop a stick or an object, fly high and drop the stick or object. The male must catch it before it hits the ground. This process happens over and over again. But with the bigger and heavy object, sometimes equal to the female weight, yet he must still catch the falling object before it hits the ground. If the object hits the ground, the female will fly away, and that mate will never be able to mate with her. Beautiful metaphor for dating. Absolutely. And this is the whole, and I hate to use these terms, but because they're commonplace, I'm going to use it. This is the whole Pookie and Ray Ray thing. You have some fellas that are underdeveloped, when it comes to the mating dance, and they can't catch that object. And then they wonder why they part of the incel crew. And if you don't know what incel means, it means involuntary celibate. Essentially, men who can't get no pussy. It's only that, it's the only way I can put it. That actually kind of drives.
Wow, that shit out there. That shit is real. Whatever, it's real. It's real.
So
So
let
I
me
mean,
ask
I
you
hate.
guys this: are you guys familiar with they they said that an eagle can live for up to 70 years if it does one thing at the 40-year mark, roughly around the 40-year mark. They said that if it purposely goes through a process of transformation, it has to go to the highest cliff, and when it gets to the highest cliff, it begins knocking its beak on the rock so that it can knock its beak off, because the old one is brittle, it's dull, it's not sharp
Mhm,
enough to catch the stuff, to catch the stick. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? So he gotta get rid of that beak so a newer, stronger one can grow back. Then once he gets that new beak, then he pulls out all his talons, because those are dull. They're not sharp anymore to catch
mhm,
stuff or to catch their prey. So he pulls all those out to new ones grow. Then he plucks out all his feathers and two new ones grow. And then once they go through this transformation process, it's just like they got another 30 years, 40 years.
Oh
But the
wow.
ones that choose not to do that, they don't live past that point. So to your point of you got to get outside, is that as you said, a lot of people are trying to make up for what they should have been doing at 14 and
Yeah.
15 at 36 and 37,
Mhm,
and then they're quitting. So
mhm,
don't quit is the point here, because you're that eagle that's at that 40-year mark that still has to go through that
yeah.
transformation process to get to that next 40 to 30 years of your life. But if you
Yeah.
do quit, then you're basically dead. You're alive, but you're a shell of yourself, because you chose not to go through a transformation process. And that's one of the things I noticed. We got to always be in this state of constant transformation,
Yeah.
because we're always learning. There's always new updates to life. We're constantly developing our knowledge and our understanding of ourselves and the world around us, which to me makes me always learn. There's something else I need to learn, or something else I
Yeah.
need to do. So it's just like a never ending process. But if you get to the point to where you just decide, like, well, I am who I am, I know what I know, and that's just that, and I don't want to take on. I'm refusing to have an open mind, because I don't want to confuse the facts that I believe to be true already. Then you're gonna have a hard time, interacting with people. Very hard time.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what we see, especially with the younger males, especially if they're raised, which is what this country is, by the way. But anyway, if they're raised in a predominantly female setting, in other words, if they don't have any male friends or siblings that they can get around and build with them, they in a tough way. And I don't mean that to disparage women, but there's just certain things that women will never have to endure, that specifically men. You're not gonna find any women talking about, well, I'm sorry, you're not gonna find any men telling a woman, well, you gotta pay for to put gas in my car, you gotta pay for me a babysitter, you gotta pay for me to take you on this date. Those are things that are uniquely targeted to men. And a woman has no answer for it when her son says, well, why do I have to pay for dates? Why do I have to make this amount of money just to say hi to her? Like, I don't even know her. Hey, you smell good. What are you wearing? Oh, get away from me. You don't make enough money to date me. You don't
Right.
even know me. You don't even know me. And you already cut me down. It's just like, yo, what kind of world are we living in? And then, and that stuff builds on itself, man. And it just gets so convoluted that you fellas that haven't been through those battles at a younger age, they're just like, yo, man, what am I gonna do? I mean, like, it's pulling teeth out here to date. I ain't even talking about sex. I'm just talking about just the date. And it's just like, oh man, I don't want to, man. I just, I'm just gonna stay in my home. I'm gonna play my PlayStation or my Xbox, and I'm just gonna let life pass me by. And then when their 20s is passing by, which for me, personally speaking, I had a whole lot of fun in my 20s. Okay, that's all. That's all I'm gonna say. From Niagara Falls to Toronto, dip down to New York, had spring break in Florida.
Oh yeah, I've been
And see,
I had
and
some
see,
fun.
and I think that's the problem with many people
Florida. It's amazing.
when they when they can't handle
I
rejection
eat some.
because their socialization socialization skills is off. So they put all their effort, and then when the girl is not really feeling them, and they're not used to taking some L's but bouncing back, because they have other options. When they put all their eggs in one basket
Yeah,
and they get rejected, this is when you see this domestic violence or this stalking type of stuff. And because guys with options, you may try a little bit, like, damn, I liked her, I'm gonna still try. But you might say to yourself, you have a time frame. Okay, I'm gonna reach out one more damn time, and if I don't
Yeah.
like the response, I'm out. That's it. Goodbye, or whatever. And then when they say, "Well, you didn't try hard enough. You just let me go." Oh, well, I didn't move on. I didn't move on 3 or 4 more different times in directions, whatever. But guys who not used to that, that's when they go cycle. You may think, "Oh, he's so sweet. He do this and do that." But if they never dealt with rejection and how to recuperate from an L, because these may be the people that scholars academically, and everything came easy that academically, but they never had opportunities socially to kind of navigate that system. That's why I say it's important to have a balance. So just
yeah.
be mindful of people that you talk to, and some of the, I'm an artist storytelling. I got tons of story, tons of success, tons of failures, and
Yeah.
I don't, it is what it is.
You
I
want to know
will
what I've
say
learned
this.
recently,
Go ahead, bro.
gentlemen?
Go
And
ahead.
what I've came to the realization earlier. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he's actually recently divorced,
Ooh,
and he has I think he's about 6 or 7 year old son. Um, Part of why he's most likely recently divorced. It's another story though. But the
okay.
point I was making was that I was talking to him, and he was just like, "Yeah, since I got divorced, and now I'm able to go be with my younger son." He was just like, you know, I understand the importance of a father being in his son's life in those formative years, because he was like, if I hadn't been around him for this last year, he probably would have been a gay retard. And I said, well, what are you talking about? And he said, because what being with his son's mother, and just being there more actively in that household specifically, he was like, what I learned was that we can't be mad at the women. He was like, because they just don't know. They just
Right.
unconsciously are raising this child, but they're not, but again, they're not consciously thinking of, okay, I have a son and he's mimicking everything that I'm doing. So it's like when he was just like, yeah, when my son would come over to the house, he'd be twerking, he'd be doing the splits, he'd be wanting to watch all the girl movies on Disney. I'm just like, he was like, I was confused, and he was just like, but then being around her for this year made me realize that it, again, like, all he was around when he was with the mama was her and her homegirls and her homegirls' daughters.
Mhm.
Period. So he was like, what I learned was that, just my presence. He was like, my presence just being here. He was like, just him seeing me and seeing me doing what I'm doing, seeing me watch sports. And it was like eventually he started to just follow, mimic dad instead of mimic mom. And he was like, that was the difference. He was like, because if I hadn't have did that for that year, he was like, my son we would think that he was some gay retard, but the reality was just like, nah. His mom just didn't understand how her behavior was influencing her son to the point where she would have been conscious enough to just maybe not, behave certain ways when he was specifically around, because she would have been conscious of the fact that, oh, he's mimicking me. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like, so that's just one area that men have to start understanding when it comes to their children, their sons and their daughters, is that even as a single and childless man, I just find it fascinating that I can see these things with women and to mothers and fathers, and like they're completely oblivious to it, because in their mind it's like, oh, the kid's not paying attention, he don't know what we saying, or she don't know what we saying. But it's like, you're right, they might not necessarily understand the meaning of the words that they're using, but every word has a feeling attached to it. So they feeling that word represents. And but they might not be able to articulate it at this age, but as they're getting older, they're never going to forget that feeling until one day when they're old enough and they're able to understand that concept. Then they're going to go back and remember that moment. And then you might have some explaining to do. But men, we got to understand, like, we have to be in, around these kids, just for the sake of them seeing us to be able to mimic us. Because if they don't, specifically our young boys, then yeah, they're gonna be behaving like women. Yes, they will. They're gonna solve their problems with emotion, because they ain't never seen no man be able to solve a problem without emotion, because all they know is that when their mama get mad. I mean, I'm pretty sure we all saw that video recently where the mama's cussing out the lady
Yeah.
in the fast food joint, and the son is right there.
Mhm.
Now the mama is just getting her piece off, but she's unconscious of the fact that this is how her son is learning how to handle conflict.
Mhm.
But he's a man, so if he does that, somebody go knock his head off his shoulders, and they gonna be
Right.
like, "Oh, he shouldn't
Right.
have been talking shit."
Right.
So,
Yeah. Two
and
comments.
it's crazy. And I'll let you get to the comments, her. But and remember, I said 2024. We calling all people out. So my mother, I'm calling you out because my nephew and my cousin, they play for ABA basketball, and they, they they won a big game Saturday, but then they turned around on Sunday and took an L. So I was saying, like, some of the stuff is unacceptable. Like, you can't let a 5'5", 5'6" guard be the reason why you lost. And I said, coaching 1-on-1, the way you stop a shooter, because they don't know, they just watching the games, whatever. And I'm like, the way you stop a shooter, you don't let them catch the ball. Get in their fucking
Damn right.
chest, you all over them, and you can't get the ball. And every time you do get it, it's going to be difficult. And they're like, oh no, like they play good. That's all that matters. No, it's not that's all that matters. They're not in Billy basketball league no more. They're in like semi-professional, professional. So this these moments could be their future. Like, okay, if we go on to another level, go overseas, G League, or whatever the case is, and when you win chips, the light is shining on you. So I'm coming from a perspective like, nah, they got to play mad, they got to play angry, they got to be locked in, and you can't be acceptable. Like, we almost won. I said that attitude I don't like to be around because the stakes is higher now, and again, well, they play good. That's all that matters. No, stop putting that shit in their head. No, they need to come out angry and take it personal. Like, you're not about to be 5'5", 5'6", get off on me. I'm gonna make it real tough and difficult for you and make it uncomfortable. So that's the message I'm trying to send. And I'm like, now it hit playoff time, and I had told her, I said, I can't roll with y'all during playoff time. Y'all gonna be on your own. Y'all gonna watch that shit live streaming, because if I'm going to the game, I want to instill in them a winning attitude with some mental toughness that this is what y'all got to do when y'all go out on this court. Not, oh, it don't matter. I said, that's little league stuff with everybody gets a trophy type of attitude. That's not where they're at right now. So, Mom, Grace, if you're listening, please comment, because that's where I'm at on this.
Two comments. The first one is from Chanel Richardson, and thank you for
That's my
coming.
cousin. Shout out for my fam from Chicago.
I have two sons and was a single mom, but they weren't made to ever want to behave like a female. Most women don't talk to them about the correct behavior, and that's to be followed up by what Brian K says. Brian says, in our community, the black community, due to the agenda of the government, most most females have raised their daughters to be stronger than males to be mentally strong. I'm sorry, mentally emasculated, but physically strong. And that goes back to what we were saying about having that influence there. And Dane just reiterated how important that was, because we can't expect women to know what men do. They're not men. So when and I'm not necessarily saying correct a young man when you see him doing something that clearly leans towards female behavior. What I want you to do is ask him, why does he do what he does? And let him tell you. You ain't got to point it out. And if by some way, in some means that's not intrusive, you can intervene, try and redirect that effort, because there's going to come a point in time where he is going to be called upon to behave as a man, whether he knows how to do it or not. Case in point, and I always talk about my garage roof. That's a $4,000 or $5,000 job. I don't have to give to somebody else to replace something in my home. And this is what the women talk about. Can you go out there and can you build a home? Well, I can't necessarily do plumbing. I can't necessarily do electrical, but you know what? I could pick up a hammer, a tape measure, screwdriver, measure, cut, hammer. I can do that. Now, I might have to pay somebody else to do some of the other things, but hell, just about everybody else in this world is going to have to do them. But you can't be completely inept as a man. There are some things that you should know how to do. You should know how to use basic tools, yes, power tools. I'm not saying you have to get out there with a chainsaw and cut down a tree that's 5 feet in diameter, because more than likely that's not going to be something that happens. But if a situation happens to where you need some firewood and you out somewhere and you got an axe, boy, your ass better get the chopper. You're gonna freeze it death. You don't know how to purify water. Better start picking up some manuals somewhere and just start reading. Hey, go for a hike. Learn how to do these things, man. It can't do anything but enhance your masculine qualities.
Mm-hmm.
And these are things that
So I
I'm a
see.
proponent. Go ahead, Dave.
No, say my mother has spoken. She has been listening. She's like, yeah, Mr. Glover, C2. Yeah, I'm just saying. So I'm glad. I don't know if that's your acknowledgement that I was right, but we don't do this passive stuff, especially playoff time, as long as you win, because all that do is create you a spot on the damn couch while other people playing. Sometimes you
Mm-hmm.
got to play angry, whatever. And if they need to learn how to play angry or whatever, they need to watch documentaries of Kobe and places like that. And I know they both appreciate Kobe, so that's how it is. I am not gonna let no midget beat me and eliminate me. I'm sorry. I'm just not.
And let me
Not
and let
saying
me
some
follow
people
that up.
small and got skills, but I'm gonna if I'm 6'1", 6'2", and they like 5'6", you gonna have a hard time getting that shit off because I'm gonna be right in your chest. You gonna know what toothpaste I used that afternoon that morning because I'm gonna be all up in it. I'm all up in it.
And let me
You know
give
what,
a shout
Herb?
out to the Niagara Falls High School boys varsity basketball team. They have a birth on the line this coming Friday. I believe at what now they call it Buffalo State University, but I'm an old head, so I'm gonna still call it Buffalo State College. Hashtag Falls Way. Shout out to Carlos, Modi, and San Quentin and the other coaches for getting them boys ready. But we need y'all to show up and support them boys. They want a whiteout. So anybody that's supporting the Niagara Falls High School varsity boys basketball team, the Wolverines, get them that home court advantage they so desperately probably need, and let them boys go ahead and finish this job. Last year they came up a little bit short. We in the city of Niagara Falls, we used to having state championships, whether it's basketball, track and field, or whatever the case is. So show up and support them boys, man, and make sure that y'all give a good account, because they're gonna get a good account. I already know what the coaching staff is gonna bring, so they're gonna give a good account.
Nice. So, you said something earlier, Herb, that I want to piggyback on earlier. You talked about male survival skills. Because one thing I've been pondering is, I live out in California, so we got the Angeles National Forest. I've been pondering, like, what if we got like a group of men and we just gave everybody a knife and just told them that they had to survive for 2 nights in the forest. You know what I mean? Because I those are the type of things that like my uncles used to do for us. Now we didn't have to spend overnight because we were kids, but when like I said, we would go to Arkansas every summer,
Uh-huh.
and like that was the kind of stuff that like we had to like figure stuff out. Like, and I'm talking about like at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. Like, they would like require us, like we had to figure stuff out. Like one summer we had to build a barn. Now, obviously, we was kids, we couldn't lift, heavy ass, 6x8s and stuff. But it was like everybody, like they made us, they made sure that we contributed and we participated in some form or fashion. So to your point, I like that idea where you said, like using malls as test sites for them to learn, trade skills. you know, for the ladies and the
Mhm.
gentlemen. Or, you know, just figuring out how we can, you know, make sure that these kids is learning like some real practical skills. Because you know, one of
Yeah.
the older one of my relatives that was a teacher, she said that the change happened when schools went from making kids high schools went from making kids job ready to college ready. Because she
Yes.
said
Yes.
when they took out when they switched, they took out things like some of the social things like the home ec or the shop class. Like it's some of the things that the kids was actually learning, so that when they graduated at 18 they had some sort of marketable skill to go out into the real world, be a contributing member of the workforce. But now, you know, we just got a whole bunch of kids graduating with degrees in debt. And there, like I said, somebody, I saw something recently where they were saying that like half of the kids with degrees now is getting like high school level jobs. And it's just
Yes.
like, well, like what are like at what point do we realize that, okay, like we're going into 5 6 figures of debt to get jobs we could have got fresh out of high school. And I'm not saying that education isn't important for all the people who say, well, you gotta get a degree. Like, no, you know what I'm saying? But we gotta start understanding that, you know, there must be some other piece of knowledge or some other level of life that we aren't experiencing. Because some like I said, there's people out here who are able to go to who are able to go get educated, and they're not getting these high school level jobs, you know. And everyone's not going to be an entrepreneur, everyone's not going to be a business owner, but everyone can still be a contributing member to some company. And if one of us has the ability to start a company, then why can't we start that company and then we go work for that person and help them build it up? And then
Yeah.
eventually we'll get the company to a point to where we can all live, quote unquote. But to think that, you know, we just gonna keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result, it's just not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So we got to start doing something different. We got to think differently. And until we
Yeah.
do that, to your point, and I agree, like we got to get this socialness. I mean, we got to get some sort of socialization in high schools. Because again, like these kids, they can't hold a conversation. And like David was saying, like I got some kids that's I'm working with that's basketball right now too. And to your point, they lost, and all the moms like, oh, well, you guys played good, but it's just like, no, none of like them kids was like we
Yeah.
literally
But,
lost the championship game to some kids that was like literally like shorter than all of us, bro. But they believed more than us. But of course, you know, all the men, you know, we like, nah, y'all suck. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all didn't play
yeah.
hard enough, bro. Like you let them little kids punk y'all. But
Yeah.
of course, oh y'all don't be so mean. Like, oh, they played their best, they did their best. It's just like no, like that's why they sit on the couch right now, because they think they feel they did their best. Like,
Yeah.
no, they could have did better.
Yeah, man.
And I want to talk to Brian's thing. He said the market is looking for skills, not degrees, and we
Exactly.
often parallel these conversations to sports. That's why you see some players, they go 4 years in college and they put in work. What's his name? Play for Gonzaga. Timmy put in work, was killing him for Gonzaga, all these years. But then you got some kid with skills that at the high school level, and he get drafted before someone who put in 4 years. Um,
Mhm.
that skill set, they look for somebody who specializes in something. So it transcends into jobs. Like if you got a specialized skill set for certain things, at least you know if you go in that area and you got a certification in that, you're going to more than likely get a job. But when you kind of like, oh, my stuff was like general or whatever the case is, and you just the average Joe, you're going to have some specialization in certain areas. And I realized that when I was thinking about going back for my master's, a lot of people heard like for Buff State, they was going for student personnel administration, which, you know, that's to work on a college campus. And I decided to just focus on counseling education. And shit, I became a golden child once I got my degree. Like for black male to be a counselor in a public school, there's not too many options. There's not too many guys that's at that level. And the importance of that is you have to have somebody to represent for these young boys, young girls, that it's okay to be vulnerable.
Yeah.
To give them that skill set. It's okay to be vulnerable. That you can be weak. You can show that, but a lot of it has to do with trust. But they have to have somebody that looks like them. But I'm finding out that's in certain situations that doesn't matter because one school district I interviewed with had 5 interviews with them, and I'm like, it's a shoe in for me to get a job. And the lady who I was talking to, she was the coordinator of school counseling, and she did not hire me because she was like, well, I know if I hire you, they're going to say the only reason I hired you because you were black. But then she went on to tell me that this school district, which was the eighth biggest school district in New York State, didn't have any black male counselors. And I'm like, wow. I said, that's a travesty. I said, so there's no one that represent black boys. And I said, well, how about we do it like this? Tell all of them that work there, put their resume on the table against mine, and then they'll understand. I see why they hired him. But it wasn't good enough for her. As a black one, she didn't. She had to go with what her people said, and it was a lost opportunity. So I wonder if they ever, and that was years ago, if they ever got any representation for black males. And it's crazy. So it's a we on to different things, but it's a lot of different things that we have to navigate that's going on now. My man, Yoobs, this was one of my favorite administrators. He on here, skills, not degrees. Right on, Mr. G Lover. That's my guy. I worked with him for 7 years at the ring, and hey, we was like Scotty and Mike. I used to always tell him he used to like to rise, be working like 6:30, and I come in, come in, and he was like, "Man, you gotta get your ass up. You gotta get in there." I said, "Remember, you the starter. I'm the closer. I'm gonna close out the school, but you the starter, whatever." And we had a dynamic relationship. And I appreciate you, Ubes, because now the shit I went through this year, man, we gotta talk. We gotta talk. But appreciate you stopping by.
And to follow what David is saying, the resiliency he's talking about is learned while you're young.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to be a reoccurring concept. Nobody ever is a success the first time they do something.
Ever.
Everybody talks about how great Michael Jordan is, but people fail to realize Michael Jordan was cut from his varsity basketball team. He had to come back after he had grown, literally physically grew some, to get a spot. So failure is a part of life, and it's in those failures where you learn to be successful from. And I'll go back to my own personal life. I was a high school dropout. I didn't graduate high school till I was 20. Same thing with college. I was academically dismissed from Buffalo State, but I still managed to do all the things that people with degrees are doing. I still managed to buy a home, be a productive member of society, run for public office. I managed to do a lot of things that a lot of other people with degrees don't do and can't do. So just because you don't succeed in one aspect of life doesn't mean you can't succeed at another aspect of life. So I just want people to know, I'm out here as a shining example to individuals who don't have a degree, that you just don't need a degree to be quote unquote successful. The American dream is whatever you want to make it. You want to make it something for you, go out there and put one foot in front of the other, one hand above the next, and keep pushing, keep grinding. We always talk about pushing and grinding on this platform because that's what we believe in.
To your point, Herb, as well, like that resiliency that's developed when they're young, like that's that grit that's going to be required when they become an adult. And again, they got to figure it out because again, once you start getting these adult responsibilities, there is no, oh, I don't feel good today. But if they never use their youth to develop that resiliency, so they can have that grit to be able to push through those mental breakdowns, I should say, then again they're not going to be productive, and then that's how they end up not being as successful as they could be. and end up being a burden on everyone around them because
Mhm.
again, like they don't have the grit, they don't have the resiliency, and no one ever forced them to develop it in their youth. And again, it's going to be hard to do it when they're adults because again, now they are doing what they want to do because they feel like they're an adult.
Yeah, yeah. And unfortunately, you can't get into a job and not be showing up on time and thinking you're gonna tell the manager what you want to. They're gonna be like, get out
I
of
got
here.
a friend right now. His sister. He was saying that the sister got a problem right now with her supervisor because she clocks in at a minute late, at 2 minutes late, 3 minutes late, and then but the sister's excuse is like, oh well, we got a 5 minute grace period, and it's just like, but you don't understand, and like that's not what that means. And so they be saying that they be having it's a hard time for managers and employers just to get through the workday because of just remedial
Yeah,
stuff like that. Like they can't even get their employees to clock in on time, and
yeah.
they gotta like have staff meetings about this.
I would say this. I understand firsthand as being a person whose departure is delayed sometimes because of that. And I'll leave it at that because I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. But I mean, and the other thing about that is this: what a lot of people don't realize, and be just, I don't know if he's still in the audience, and hats off to the tremendous work that he does. The people that follow him already notice AI is going to displace a lot of people. I don't know who it was that I don't know if it was BGS that talked about it or somebody else, and I seen it. It's gonna do some serious damage to the working class people. So you know, get yourself ready. If you got another skill set that you've been looking to engage in, or you have some other abilities, please indulge those abilities. Seek out alternative sources of income. Brace yourselves because it's going to be a wild ride in the next 3 to 6 years. It's coming. It is coming. I don't know if you're
Nah,
going to
you
be
ain't later line.
whatever, but things are going to get rough.
Well, it's
There's
going to get rough, her, because implementation, like AI, is going to basically make all jobs that just require basic implementation, basically, any repeatable tasks. Like, yeah, it's
yeah,
gonna make your job obsolete because now the computer can do it. So that doesn't mean that doesn't mean that your life is over though. That just means
right.
as life gets harder, you're gonna have to get stronger. You're gonna have to get stronger by thinking differently and understanding how to communicate better, so that you can use your ideas to turn those conversations into cash flow because it's possible.
Yeah,
It's very much possible. You got to believe though, and if you just believe, like you said, if people can only behave, people can't behave beyond what they believe. So if you just believe that the best you can do is work at this marketing job because that's what your degree was in, and you're limiting your ability to go through a transformation process to be conscious of, like you said, STEM is gonna always be in. So a lot of people gonna have to make some pivots, but a lot
yeah,
of people are not going to be willing to make those pivots because again, they're just closed minded. They just believe that, oh well, I spent all this time, energy, and effort doing this thing, so I just can't turn around now. But it's just like, well, AI is going to force you to make a decision. So be
yeah.
prepared.
And don't forget, I
One
mean,
one of the things, one of the things that we talked about earlier when we were talking about spaces and guys, I still believe that we need to have those spaces that men have, like men retreats, and it could be father and son or whatever the case is, that we teach other males certain skill sets, that we get together and you have a time, maybe for a weekend. And I was talking about learning different things, the forest fire type stuff and all that stuff. I think it's an opportunity for people to get together and do that, whether it's a bunch of father and sons together, and sometimes it just may be other men that may lack in certain skill sets, that we need to come together and have these conversations and these little powwows, uh, uh, because it's all about personal growth and development. So, say for example, if you have someone that's not mechanically inclined, but that's y'all focus for that particular weekend, and you do it, and you learn how to do certain things. Or it may be some guys like, damn, I ain't had a resume. I never had a resume.
Okay.
I got a job and I've been working that job, but I want to do something else. And you may have that may be a particular segment. I think it's opportunities to do that because at this point, shit, what do we got to lose? We got to do something different. That's for sure to open up different avenues. So I think that's an opportunity for people to meet, connect, and say, damn, I learned a lot this weekend, or I learned a lot this workshop on Saturday. That this was the focus on how to interview, how to do certain things, how to change a tire, how to do some maintenance around the house. So heaven forbid, all that maintenance stuff, I'm clueless. And I ain't afraid to say it. I ain't afraid to say it, but I may be stronger in other areas. So that's that. Oh, and I want to give a shout out. Thank Anita for joining us. How you doing? I know we
Hi.
talking. Feel free whenever you want to come in and say something.
Who's this new guy we have?
That's
Dane?
Dane. Dane is the
I know.
counselor's corner
I
member.
know. Hi,
Oh.
Dave. I know who it is. I'm just BSing
All
as
right.
usual. I know he probably didn't think I knew who he was. I know all. I pay attention. That's why
Gotta have a good eye.
I do. I pay attention to detail. Thanks to the army. So, excuse me. I was just eating like a fat girl loves cake. I was eating some Mexican. Mm-mm. Anyway, so I was listening to you guys for a little bit, and I have some perspectives, and I'm not going to disagree with y'all. Boys do need a positive male role model. And I was thinking about my nephew, who's 6 years old. I love doing things with him, not girly things, but things that human and cultural capital that he wouldn't otherwise get from maybe my mom or my sister. I like taking him to the science museum, nature walks, that kind of stuff. But listening to you guys, I do want to take him to like Bandits games, Sabres games, baseball games, like dude type of stuff, stuff that I don't want to sound like, I don't want to sound gender biased, whatever, but things that little boys should be exposed to instead of all female things. And we have myself, my mom, and my sister, my niece, and he's the youngest. My niece is 18, so he's 6 years old. His dad works a lot. I ain't gonna speak on what he takes him fishing. That's cool, but exposure. And I'm thinking about this. I don't have any kids, but just that exposure to something that is predominantly male saturated, I think is very important for both genders, so they can get a different perspective, but especially for boys. I think boys, they should know how to grow up and act like a man or be a man, do household, cleaning, cooking, and the other type of the stuff that you were referring to, Herbert. And I understand a lot of single mothers, they get defensive because I understand they get defensive. They're doing the best they can. They feel like maybe they're getting insulted because they don't have their son does not have a good male role model and whatnot. And as women, we can only. Am I
Go
still
ahead.
there? Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
thought it froze up. You know how janky my internet is. As women, we can only teach them a woman perspective. And thinking about it, I think is the delivery of the information is why single mothers get defensive. I think if it was put in a more positive tone, um, maybe single mothers wouldn't with sons wouldn't get as defensive or feel insulted that they're doing the best they can. But now stepping outside of the box, yeah, I don't have any kids. Okay. You know, just thinking about how my nephew's going to be when he gets to high school. I want him to learn those gender type of things. So yeah, I was just listening to you guys. And where'd Dane go? I scared him off.
No, Dane probably took a break. He'll be back shortly. I'm not sure about Dane. I know Dane's may have been having some internet connectivity problems, so I'm sure both of them will be. I know Dave will be back. I'm sure Dane will be too. But therein lies the problem with the way boys are treated, and it's not just here in the United States of America. It's throughout the world. Boys are not going to be coddled by other men. To put it another way, a man is going to speak to him as if he was speaking to a fully fledged, emotionally stable man. And if he tells him, no, that ain't the way you do it, guess what? He's not going to be looking for that boy or man in this case to start saying, we ain't got time for that. We got a project. We have a goal. We have to meet that goal. If not, we start losing money for the company. And that's part of the problem that women don't fully grasp when men get around other men, is that we speak in a certain tone. And that's the tone. It's nothing personal. It's just how men speak. And I'll tell this story without mentioning any names because nobody's here to defend themselves. About 13, 14 years ago, I was dating somebody. Neighbor across the street. Now, her mother wasn't home at the time. She had a boy over there, and me and the neighbor sitting on the porch, and he says, she's not supposed to have anybody there. I said, there's somebody there? Said, yeah. Called the boy out, was talking to him. And, the conversation got kind of tinged with some things that I told myself, look, you're not supposed to be there. No, I know why you're there. I know what you're trying to do. Take your little ass on up the street before you get yourself into a situation that you're not ready for. Now, the female that I was dating at the time didn't hear that portion of the conversation. He came back later. He was apologizing. And I spoke to him like a young man, as if I was his father, caring to him. She came out. She said, why can't you speak to all boys like that all the time? I said, oh, you weren't here when I told him to take his little ass on up the street before something happens to where he's going to get himself in some trouble. I said, now, you wouldn't have liked that, would you? She said, no. I said, that's precisely what I keep trying to tell you, is that you keep intervening where your nose don't need to be, because the information that you're going to give him is not going to set him up for success. So when men tell women that, regardless of the tone, women have to take it upon themselves to sit their asses down and listen. But a lot of women don't want to do that. Case in point, and I go back years with this one, when we assembled the panel, there was 7 of us, and we have been telling the women that it's not my and David's view about single mothers. It's a lot of men. A lot of men just don't say it. When we assembled that panel, they were mad for about 2 months afterwards. And we tried to tell them. They didn't want to listen. Now they got independent opinions from like 6 different men, and they were pissed. And we gave them due process. I said, y'all not gonna like this, but this is how it is. So men aren't doing this to be mean to women. We're doing this because we understand that the world is going to chew up men and spit them out. And if you ain't tough enough to withstand them bites, you can get ground up. And that's what life is going to do to you. Life is not going to cut you any slack. Life's going to say, you a man. Get busy digging that hole or you starve. There's no soft spot for landing the men. There isn't. Women, yes. Men, no. You don't earn, you starve.
So this remind me, we always talk about storytelling. This remind me of a couple situations, and I might have spoke on it. One of them was probably one of my scariest times in school, and I don't know if he, hopefully he's still living, but I had Mr. Rizzo on for math, and he was like the varsity football coach.
Baseball.
Rizzo, yep.
Diesel as hell, and he taught math. And I let one of my friends, I ain't gonna call out his name, even though it's his birthday today, so give it a hit. I let him hold my math work. The night before, he was supposed to come to school, didn't come to school. And so all freaking day, I was worried because Mr. Rizzo had a system, and that's part of the problem now. People don't have a system. He had a system in place, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, I don't have my work, and I'm thinking of all types of crazy shit. Like, if I pull a fire alarm, maybe I should just leave the school and just walk home, or whatever the case is. But that wasn't my style. So I kept asking his brother, like, yo, is MS, is MS, I'm just saying, is Mike here? And he like, no, I don't think he can. He missed the bus or whatever. So it finally got to the period where Mr. Rizzo, in math class, and I always turned in my work or whatever the case. It might have not always been right, but he knew my body of work. And my heart racing, he'd go down the aisle, make sure you had your homework, had his clipboard, check it. Then I think I sat in the middle of the row, and a couple kids didn't have theirs, go out in the hallway. Back in them days, you used to get paddled after a while. I'm like, damn. Then he finally got to me. I'm like, man. You're like, David? And I'm like, I was rushing this morning. I think I left my folder on the table. And he was like, bring it tomorrow. And I'm like, damn. So that let me know, like, some of the things that you could do. This generation, it'll be a different story. You would already have some mother already calling, emailing, and all that stuff. But it was my fault. And I came up with all this stuff in my head, but I said, shit, I had to face them. And whether I kind of lied that I didn't have it, I left it on the thing, my credibility was good. And he just said, just bring it tomorrow. Bring it tomorrow. I was so relieved, but trust and believe, when I got that bus and I got off, I went banging on my door like fucking task force. Where's my fucking work? Don't ask me to ever use my homework again, because one of my other buddies, may he rest in peace, said, don't let nobody use your work. Don't do all the work. And let them, if you're going to do it, they need to do it right there at your house. Copy it down or whatever. Don't leave your stuff with them. And shout out to DP for telling me that. And man, that was probably one of the most scariest times I ever had in school. But that was one situation. And then I remember in college that sometimes we talk about having man conversations. I was on academic morning, pro-debation, and we had a meeting, and I thought I was cool. They asking me questions, do I want to be at Niagara University? What am I changing? I kept giving them one-word answers. Then after the meeting, maybe I was the last one. Shout out to one of my greatest mentors, Tony Miller, pulled me in the office and pretty much ripped me a new one. He said, "What the fuck is your problem?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "So you in here, I always go to bat for you, and we're asking you questions like what you gonna do different, and what's going on, and you giving one word fucking answers." He said, "I don't have shit to say to you no more." So now I'm like, damn. One of my main people that I can always count on, so I don't have shit to say. Because you think you cool. He said, "Oh, you want to be just like the rest of the people you started off in the program that's academically dismissed. Maybe you want to go on Highland Avenue, sell drugs, or whatever the case is. What you going to say to your mother, your grandmother, or your siblings that look up to you, and now you about to be dismissed?" And I thought about it. Actually, when I left him, I went back to my room, and I cried on the edge of my bed. And I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to do after this. I put everything invested in college. I don't have no skill set. I never liked those type of classes. My whole thing was designed to come here, do what I needed to do. Boy, I made a change after that. I got in the library. I got in the lab. My grades improved. Then even to the point that I went back and showed him, like, okay, I just got this 90 on this paper, this 95 on this test. And he always would cuss me out. And when I came, showed him that, he said, "What the fuck you showing me that for?" And I'm like, "Cause I did well." And he like,
You did what you're supposed to do, huh?
I already knew you could do that. I already knew you could do that. This is why I went to bat for you. So I'm saying this to be saying, sometimes when people go to bat for you, as y'all saying this trending stuff, standing on your business and standing 10 toes down, you got to be able to do it. You got to be able to do it, especially when the person has good credibility. We can't keep making excuses for boys or females when you got people going to bat for you.
Right.
People go to bat for you, and they got good credibility, and you fuck that up. That's on you.
Yeah.
That's on you, and that's when we talk about accountability and being responsible. I realized I messed up, and I said, "Shit, I had to pound my chest and say, I got to come back harder. I got to come back better," and I did. But a lot of people can't because you have people making excuses for them, whatever. Yeah. There's really no excuse. You can have this or you can have that. You can have a death in the family and all that. But as Herb always say, life fucking goes on.
Yeah.
You gotta go on. It gotta go on.
Yeah.
What other choice you have? People only gonna be empathetic for a certain time. You only can carry that mental health for so long. You got to go on. Got to find a way. But you got to connect with the right people to get you through it. And I'm done talking. That was a nice little segment.
It's funny you say that. I was when we had that first warm snap, it was 60 to something, almost 60 degrees today. I was in my backyard. My backyard happens to be a haven for monarch caterpillars and butterflies. I had picked up a caterpillar who hadn't cocooned yet. And I took that caterpillar and I placed it right above my kitchen sink, and it's still there. That's a reminder to me. Every time I'm at that sink, I'm washing my hands or I'm washing dishes. Yes, I wash dishes by hand. The hell with a dishwasher. That life is cruel. Here's this caterpillar that more than likely probably froze to death. Never got to live out his entire life. And that's why I say the business of life must go on. I said it when my younger sister passed last year. Last year for me personally was just a tough year. It was just in every facet of life. And I'm still trying to dig out from that now. I had this situation this past weekend, set me back something. But I got much choice. I'm sitting in this quiet room. I'm so used to having that cat run up and down that couch. And it's just different.
And we're used to seeing them.
It's different, but I got no choice but to keep pushing on. I got to go to work tomorrow. I would like to take some more time off just to get away from shit, but I can't do that. I can't run. So, it's gonna be what it's gonna be, and I can't change the past. I can only, kind of mold the future. And this is what we talk about when we talk about boys and people. They always talk about the mental health aspect, and I said this before, and I'll say it again. Talking is only so good. You got to get out there and you got to make something happen. That's why I'm not a firm proponent in verbal therapy. That's good if you want to talk about what's on your mind, but the only way you're going to get something off your chest, especially, and I'm going to relate this to weightlifting, the only way you can get something off your chest is to lift it off your chest. Stop talking about it. Go do something. That's why I work out outside, because it gives me a chance to air out all the things that I have in my head. I'll be riding down by the falls and I'll be thinking about this, thinking about that. Next thing I get home, I ain't got a thought in my head, because all them thoughts came through one ear, out the other, and they somewhere blowing in the wind. I don't give a damn.
Let me read a couple comments. One of them, Brian said, oftentimes men speak in straight lines, women speak in circles in most cases. Yeah, we talk about that often, that we are direct and try to get to the point. And, there's stuff going around. I've been talking about it for years after getting some research, and it said women speak 20,000 words a day, men speak 7,000. But then I read something else to say, hey, these men are doing a lot of talking now, and they're catching up with women, so we don't know if it's an imbalance. And I probably slightly agree with it that it's a whole lot of men talking. But then I make reference to what my grandmother would say. She said she can't stand a talking ass man. Talking and a dancing ass man. So I lean toward that, like, man, you ain't gonna be going through all of that stuff. You're gonna say what you're gonna say, and you're gonna mean it, and they gonna know. If you gotta do all that, because sometimes that's the communication barrier, because women, and I remember last week Herb was getting on you, Anita, about you being too verbose, and you need to summarize it and get to, because men often looking like, okay, what are you going to do with this information? Where are you going with it? And shit, I don't have time for this long story. Got to be a shortcut to it. Some things could be left out. And that's the way sometimes you have to deal with certain things, whatever. And that's why, like, shit, if you're dealing with the law or lawyers and stuff like that, not that I ever had that case, but I can only imagine they're not about to go through everything. They want the straight facts, or whatever the case is, to get to the bottom of it. So it's going to be important to do that. So that was that. But now let me regret
until they got a lot of questions because I didn't put in this info and that info. Now, when I was in the military, or even after that, it was straightforward. Like, look, you got to do this. Don't you see that garbage in the kitchen overflowing? Soldier, what? You're on sanitation. Okay. Why go throw out that garbage?
So if you learned that in the military, then you understand that. So why all of a sudden now you dancing around shit when we ask questions, and we like, yo, we just want to get to the chase of it, and you want to dance around. But that's a whole nother. Let me read that comment. He said, David, that story is exactly the sort of thing that Black adults need to be doing all the time to help young blacks. Tell stories that encourage them to do the smart thing. And we always try to, but the thing is, it has to be someone that they connect with.
Right.
Because oftentimes, even in the school setting, you have teachers that try to use that method, and the students like, all they do is tell stories. Nobody care about back in the days or whatever. And I often try to tell them, back in the days, it comes full circle. Everything y'all doing now, we have done. Right. Trust and believe. Words that y'all say, we have said it, or whatever the case is. And I think if you're able to connect with them, they'll listen. But if not, they tune this stuff out. So And the only thing you can hope for me, I love that mode of teaching to bring some personal insight, tell a story, or break down how this situation is connected to whatever we talk about the concept. I definitely learn from that. But this generation, I guess it depends on the person delivering the message. Let me see. Shout out to Lewis. He says salute. Brian said we're currently living during this agenda of minimizing differences, especially between male
Yeah,
and female.
yeah, yeah. That's something. That's something that BGS has said, and when he said it initially, I didn't really put a whole lot of thought process into it. And then when I really thought about it, I was like, you know what? He's spot on. And I'm not gonna quote him because I don't know if he's still in there. I would prefer that he says so I don't catch the flag. So but yeah, man, the minimizing the differences, and I think that's only going to serve to set um relations back because ultimately, you know, I'm a proponent of this. Whatever people's relationship is, there's two things that are certain. That's never going to change. Ooh. One is a man's job is to impregnate a woman. Woman's job is to carry that fertilizer over to term. Anything else between those two, not society, this is something that Dane was talking about in what I read, is their business. So if he wants to stay home, he wants to take care of the household while she goes out and work, that's their business. But in order for that to be their business and maintained as their business, and this is what Dane said, they have to keep their business within the confines of their home. Stop running to your mother, your father, your brothers, your sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews, and talk to each other. Confide with each other. Work it out between each other because ultimately you both are going to pay the price. Whether it's emotional dissatisfaction, physical dissatisfaction, or the dissolving of the dissolution of the family. So work it out. It can't help. It can only help and is going to strengthen the bond that you two have. Guaranteed.
Yeah. So for people joining us, we've been having kind of like an open talk, kind of like this too as well. So I think this should be a regular, at least a monthly thing. Just have a open talk conversation that bring any concern. The pilot, what the f does that mean?
It's a movie. I'm trying to broaden people's horizons. That's what I'll be watching after the show.
Mm.
I can read you briefly what it's about. It says based on a true story. You know me, I like a good dollar spent. This is based on a true story. In 1941, a Russian World War II pilot crash lands deep in enemy territory. Seriously injured, he must battle hunger, extreme cold, and wild animals, all while evading Nazi soldiers if he is to ever make it home alive. That is the intro. I will be on my old style CRT TV and my DVD player. I will be watching it tonight. I don't have to go to work tonight, so I tell people I'm trying to always. I like first of all, and I told you about the movie News of the World. I hope somebody took it upon themselves to watch that movie. It's Tom Hanks, and I think this is one of his better roles, even though not many people have probably heard of it. Um, like I said, watch it. People always try and do or see something different. It gives you more insight into the world in which you live. All right, that's my only thing. I'm always trying to open you up like a clam, so you got me sucked in all this difference. Do something, read something different, eat something. Man, I can't tell you eat something different because I'm not gonna eat a whole lot of different food. So scratch that. But go watch something different in terms of entertainment, movie and books and whatever it is, language, arts, music. There's probably no form of music on this planet that I don't listen to. Jazz, pan flute, Celtic, classical, jazz, ragtime. I got just about every genre of music that the world offers. So yes, I listen to it all. The pilot. Get it.
Greg,
Fine.
Greg said. Greg said Deep Throat is better, Herb. Now I don't know what the meaning
Whatever
of that
that means.
is.
I did not think that pertained to anything of the conversation.
Deep Throated was actually a code name for a spy. So if you're into history, that's what that means. I knew what it meant. It wasn't intended for anything salacious, shall we say, people.
I was that.
No.
Yeah. It was kind of funny to me because I was talking to one of my guy friends about watching 50 Shades of Grey.
I will draw the line there.
Which is a controversial movie. I get it. And everybody has their different perspectives on it. I actually like the movie.
It's only one shade of gray I know, and that's the gray that's up here. I don't know about any other gray.
50 Shades of Grey. I thought it was a great movie.
Oh, hey, I'm not disagreeing. I'll just never see it.
Brian
What?
said heavy as the crown. Out of Darkness on Tubi is a good watch. Now I watch Tubi movies. I mess with Tubi, so I need to put that down on my list.
Okay.
Out of Darkness, and check that out. I've been trying to keep a running list of some of these movies because what people don't know, it also gives you content.
Yes.
Any books, movies, and all that stuff gives you content because a lot of people don't. Everybody can order a mic, and we talk about this. Order a mic and think they can get in front, but then they don't have. Then they be like, "Damn, where am I going to get content from?" You got to be well versed in this to be able to keep an engaging argument and put out broadcast every week. So you got to have different methods. So that's one of the things. Look, said, sorry, David, did not mean to take the convo down a rabbit hole. I don't give a damn about that shit. Like, I am not the person. We go down the rabbit hole often, so
Yes,
that
sir.
doesn't shake me or upset me. All it does is add a different element because you can mean one thing, but I also know that certain things are ambiguous, and it's the way people interpret certain things.
Sure was ambiguous.
Say what?
I said
Yeah,
it sure
so-
was ambiguous.
So that's the thing. So it's power in these conversations. What the hell, Herb? Keep pulling out. What you got?
That's
A
the
bag of gadgets?
That's the 1980s Sam thing.
Yep. I think they're cool. I gotta add some water to it.
I think they're cool too. Along with the silver balls.
Yes, sir.
hmm So, I was listening to you guys talk about basketball, right?
Yeah.
And how, like, the mothers, they will say, like, good job, even though they didn't do a good job because they didn't win or they didn't play hard enough. Or that was Dane talking about that.
I had started it and I was making reference to my mother and my perspective on my nephew and my cousin's game this past weekend.
Yeah, I was listening to something. I think it was a little short clip with Doc Rivers, and he was like saying about the same thing, like teamwork and hard work and stuff like that. Oh crap! Hold on. Oh crap! Hold on. Am I still here? Yeah, I'm still here. So anyway, it just. Sorry, hold on. Yeah, so I thought it was interesting that it was like talking about high school kids, but Doc Rivers was talking about something kind of along the same lines. So today I got this little thing. I'm so happy about it. It's a continuous blood monitor for my diabetes.
Thought they were trying to turn you into an android.
It's actually very helpful, and it's better than pricking my finger 5 times a day to make sure my blood's not high or low. So yeah, that's what that alarm was, telling me that my blood sugar was over the threshold because I just ate.
There's so many different things, so many different gadgets, so many things now nowadays, and I know I keep getting roped up in freaking TikTok shop purchasing stuff, and I was like, yeah, I gotta stay off this crap because there's so
You watch
many different
Derek
things.
Branch?
Huh?
Do you watch the TikToks by Derek Branch? He tells like different
Not that
different
not
stories
that I'm
that
familiar with. I don't.
At this particular point, I gotta get some things situated first. I'm sure I got a backlog of stuff that I need to get through. So
Herbert, did you cut your hair?
no, that's my receding hairline.
Oh, looks like you cut your hair.
Nah, not yet. Probably do in a few days, maybe a week.
I need to cut this mess too.
Well, one of the things we gonna get ready for closing comments. Guess what? State testing has started, so
Oh no.
I have to be a part of proctoring for a couple hours tomorrow, and that's not one of my favorite things. To freaking gawk at kids while they take a test, or whatever. Not my thing. But that's what is in store. We got Larry Nero said it was good. BJS brought me here. Thanks for joining us. We here, Larry. We about to close it out tonight. We didn't have no definitive topic. We just kind of have an open talk. But it's approaching 11 o'clock, and I know for me, I gotta be alert, more so alert of tomorrow, anything in my job, because like I said, I'll be proctoring an exam, and not my favorite thing to do. State testing. So closing comments, different things were said. Anita, Herb, how do y'all want to close it out on something that was discussed tonight?
I didn't hear everything, but I was it made me think of transition periods and how everybody's on their different journey. So that's one of the reasons why I mentioned this continuous glucose thing. So it's really going to help me get back on track with my journey to where I'm at right now. And I'm pretty excited. It's something real small to be excited about, but it updates your blood glucose every minute so you can see how on track you are and whatnot. But I just think everybody has their different journey and they're transitioning like a Rubik's Cube.
One of the things to piggyback on that, I always say, and I think the great John Wooden said, that little things lead to big things. So it could be something small, but it could end up being something huge. It could end up like a life-saving mechanism for certain people. So we can't never minimize that. Larry said, so what's your style for your page? My style? We have open discussions for my page. Join the Counselor's Corner. I always focus on 10 core areas: friendships, relationships, family, health, education, work, loyalty, mistrust, child drama, dating game. So I've been going with that theme, and typically anything I post is somewhat related to that. Now other people, they may reach out the scope of that, and I'm kind of flexible. So I have a high tolerance, and I kind of let certain things go by, and I think that brings creativity and a lot of because my alias is the controversial counselor, so it brings creativity and a lot of smoke because people be ready to go at it, and I'm okay with it because I think a lot of us need to. The only way we're gonna change is if we feel uncomfortable about certain things. So certain subject matters is gonna make people uncomfortable, trigger them, and either you can survive it or you're not. But I can guarantee you, people who rise to the top definitely probably dealt with uncomfortable situations that got them there. And I don't know what Herb went and did. He probably pulling
Oh
something
no, I'm
out the
still here.
gadget.
He's ordering some chicken wings.
Nah, I had some chicken fingers earlier. Nah, man,
Any closing comments for you?
nah, man. For me, it is what it is, man. I'm still in the state of grieving. You know, when I bought this house, I bought it with the intent of having it inhabited by me and other entities. And life is slowly but surely peeling all of that away, and I'm kind of down to two cats. I know it seems kind of ridiculous.
No, it don't.
The hell does that mean? But one cat is so accustomed to being upstairs, and he'd be 17 this year, and the other one wants to be outdoors. So I'm in this big old house, essentially by myself, which I really didn't have an intention to. So I'm kind of at a crossroads, and I'm not gonna get any more pets. I'm gonna feed the wildlife. I'm gonna donate to cat shelters and things of that nature, man, because I think that's the road that life is taking me down. In a few years, I don't necessarily plan on doing a whole lot. That's gonna probably keep me in the area a whole lot. I'll be hopefully if everything goes according to plan, I'll be traveling for work. So, it is what it is.
I'll let you borrow, buddy.
Cats are preferable. I can leave them at home.
But you love Buddy.
Yeah. Buddy's buddy.
Well,
Lucky's lucky. So,
well, we know this is a different discussion. You can move a woman in there and just let her move your furniture around. But that's a whole that's a whole subject matter.
no, man, the couch stays. The couch is Lucky's. What other cat decides to climb up on it? So, right now is a reminder of the banging it did when he would run up and down. So, I buried him Sunday, so he's back there with the other deceased member of the family. So, yeah, it is what it is.
All right, and keep pushing forward and keep those memories fresh. And like you said, we always got to go on, but those memories, they last forever, and hopefully they were more positive than negative, and sometimes that's what gets you through the day. Larry said, do you spit game, dig deep, or see things others don't? Oh, we see things often that others don't.
Yeah, buddy.
The conversation is...
Especially Anita Baker.
Yeah. Conversation is all over the place. It's, like I say, ambiguous, and it's all about people, different perspectives and experiences. So that's our thing. And sometimes, we challenge people on their perspectives. So it's kind of like open thing. I try to let people get off and state what they state. So, but again, yeah, we do dig. We do go deep, and also we may see things that other people may not see, and we may see things years before other people see it because we've been talking about certain things. So that's kind of our niche. One of the things, join the Counselor's Corner on the Facebook page, and subscribe to the Controversial Counselor on YouTube, and we try to have fun. We we have good debates and good arguments to piss people off. And my whole thing is for people to feel uncomfortable because I know that's where you're gonna get growth at.
Mhm.
Brian said, enjoyed the dialogue. Glad I was off today to take part of the hotel. Ubuntu. That's probably more herb lingo, but Larry said I'm subscribed. Appreciate you, brother, and thanks, Brian. I'm glad you was available to join the conversation. And my closing comments is, hey, man, we know it's work to be done. It's a lot that's going on, but the one thing is, if you conversate and you even for tonight's theme, open talk. There's things that's bothering each and every one of us. And that's the type of thing that I want to bring to the platform that we can talk about. And sometimes it may be those random things that you don't expect that we just talk about. But at least it's being talked about, and you have opportunity to reach a different audience and different masses of people to get different opinions. It's just not your sister, brother, your bestie, and all that stuff. It's other people. So when you have courage to come on and say, hey, this is the shit that's bothering me, and you get perspective from other people, it kind of tightens you up. Iron sharpens iron. So that's my whole thing. In order to grow, you got to feel uncomfortable. I don't know too many people is comfortable with every situation and they growing. Usually they are stagnant and they complacent. But when you start feeling
Complacent,
uncomfortable, that's when you do different shit and you like, hell, I gotta wiggle my way out of this to make things better. So that's where we at. So thanks for all the people that joined. Shout out to BGS for referring people coming in, and definitely shout out for Brian, his comments, and everybody else that commented. And
Shout out to Dave for finally showing his face.
Dame, who's been very active in the counselor's corner, putting his stuff out there, always challenging people, coming up with different thoughts. And shout out to Chrissy Pooh for the original thing about men writing dissertations and just kind of saying the men are doing a lot of talking, doing a lot of typing, and all that stuff. So that just lets you know the different levels that we're at. So we're gonna keep it pushing and just keep trying to grow and keep trying to have conversations. And I always look at them as, even though it might be a lot of friction sometimes, but they're still positive because somebody's gonna walk away with something different from the conversations. But with that said, well, we on to the next one. Everybody be well. Enjoy your week. Enjoy the weather too. It's been nice in certain areas, but we know for Niagara Falls, Buffalo, a storm is coming to close it out. Especially when it's damn near 70 degrees.
Coming again, so it's gonna be back down
Something
to like
coming.
30-something.
I went to sit down by the lake in Buffalo today, by the Science Museum. It was nice.
You probably had on shorts and all that shit too. You had on shorts?
No, not me.
Flip flops
I need
and all
somebody
that
to keep
shit.
me warm by the water.
Yeah.
I ain't wearing shorts by the water unless it's like 90.
Well, everybody, be well. Don't get caught up with the weather and be sending y'all damn kids there with like their summer clothes on because you already know what it is. So just stick to your normal routine and just enjoy the weather, enjoy the time, be safe, and we'll talk to y'all again. On to the next one. Peace.
Bye. See you next week.
See ya.